A very good morning, afternoon, or early morning. I see Mohanaji here, so I'm confused about the time sense. I'm just in my mind trying to calculate. I think she's ahead of us, so it could be afternoon. So afternoon may not be the entire wrong. Uh, Greetings for this time. And everyone else who has joined in, also very happy to be here spending this time with all of you. And again, thank you, Monaji, Moshmi, and Anu for switching on the video. No pressure, but anybody else can switch on the video. Hello, good morning, Navinji. It sort of gives me a little feedback. It feels like we're having a conversation, as opposed to I am talking to. Somehow it works better. Satsang can change. Now, I don't promise whether that satsang will change for a good or not so good direction, but it changes in certain way. It's a very interesting topic, and I'll read it how it is asked. How to make right decisions in your life. A very practical, actually, title. Many of our titles are very esoteric. This is extremely straightforward and practical, and yet uh, that's how I will start, just with that line itself. Like the two big components in that. One is the right part of it, right and wrong. And what is, see, that's when we talk about decisions which are right or wrong. What is right and wrong is, and this is something for you to take in your own contemplation also. What is right for you? In absolute sense, is there anything right, or it is just only relative sense? I'll explain that a little bit more, giving an example. When earlier on the path, when I was newer, I think I might have mentioned this story, but in this light, it also makes a little difference. So we all have learned yam and niyam, isn't it? Like there is truthfulness and there is non-violence. So I remember I visited a school and I was also teaching them the same importance of practicing yams and niyam. And I said, like, why it is important to be always ahimsak. I gave them a situation. It's like, no matter. And those teachers were actually receptive, but had a question mark on their face. No? So like, what do you mean ahimsak? Like, you cannot really retort back? I said, no, because that's what the teaching says. Then like it went on for some time, their question mark became more and more bold. And at the end, they revolted and saying, listen, if somebody comes and they say mean things to me, I am going to give them. I said, but no, that is not how ahimsa works. You cannot do that. And when I went home and I realized I was disturbed. Okay, what just happened? I thought this is like supposed to be like the truth. I'm sharing with them like such beautiful teachings and they are objecting to that. And later on, again, I just let it be there. But after some time, as maturity comes, and again, this is the same thing, you realize like why I was so insistent on it. I have chosen it in a particular way. I wanted to be non-violent. Why? Because I sign up for these teachings. Yogananda just told it. I also understood the fallacy in it. And I decided I'm going to live according to that teaching, live according to what it is. I want to experience the oneness or the truth, the final truth that they talk about, and this isn't my approach. But I realized the important distinguish I couldn't make on that day is it was my approach. I was sharing them my approach. They said we don't resonate with your approach. So rather than allowing them to explore their approach, I was sort of hesitant, this is the way. So whenever we become like the right decision is like this way, we lose the opportunity to open ourselves. So this is a contemplation in your own time. Yes, find out in your own way. What do you feel is the absolute right? We all have our principles and all of it. We also live a life in a certain way. No? We also say, like, society has a lot of things to say. Our own conditioning has a lot of things to say about. And then what is it? Is there anything in it? If you create a list of things, okay, I feel these are right things. These are the right behaviors. These are the right choices. What of them are absolute in this sense? You understand when I say absolute? Or it is just for you? Anyway, I will not give you the answer completely, but I probably think that you will hint. The more important part of it is like when we talk about decisions which are right, they're never Rarely they're absolute in that sense. What is right for me, even in the devotee context, may not be true for you or for someone else. Even for our own self, the things might change in time. Swami Kriyananda ji in his book Intuition for Starter gives an example of master's life. It was a time when India was not yet independent. So one person came and approached and says, why don't you participate in the freedom fight and then help the nation? You have such a influence. You can certainly participate and your contribution could be non-trivial. So to which Yogananda ji says, no, I don't feel that is my dharma. It could be yours, but it isn't mine. And then that person actually, he encouraged him to go forward and he did continue participate in the freedom struggle. But you see, he did not because he didn't feel that way. On the other hand, Mahatma Gandhi, we all know that he was like a very successful lawyer and he did a lot of work in that field also earlier in his life. But when it come to India, it was more of his dharma to be participant, not only just the participant, lead that struggle of independence. It was his to do. But you see, like something which was right, even in these two great souls, they were different. And it isn't actually for us also to discuss in this kind of a forum whether Master was right or Gandhiji was right or vice versa. Even these are two great souls. But even when we say, okay, Moshmi did that, I don't think that was the right thing to do. It isn't. We speak like that many a times. It's very relevant. Again, don't judge yourself for anybody who says that. See where it comes from. How are we so sure about something is right or wrong? What is the basis of it? You realize the basis is not very strong. That basis generally comes from, we have a lot of pressure from society. Even the societies which are sort of more open, more accepting, they always have some kind of rule. This is the way things happen here. And that whenever we are like a particular thing is right in front of us, we want to see the truth in it, it gets clouded because we are muddled by impressions from the society and then our own experience. I feel this is right. Based on what? We rarely question that. We're so sure about, even when we read something, what we are reading is actually, if we want to know the truth, what is it that we all should be able to keep our preferences also aside. And is it right or wrong? Then it probably has a capacity to reveal ourselves to us. So find out, this is a very good exercise. What I feel is absolutely right. This has to be. I cannot compromise on of it. So make a list of it and then analyze and see if that actually holds against the absoluteness that we were talking about. The second line says how to make the decisions in your life, if I remove the right part of it. And again, this is another reflective exercise I would ask you to do. What decisions do we actually make? Swami Kriyananda ji, when he was new, and then he went to Master, and Master asked him, Ki, you need to develop devotion. And then he tried his best. He chanted hours and hours, he chanted, and he worked on his heart quality. And he modified, he changed. And after that change happened, one of the times Master is talking to another disciple, and to him said, see how I have changed Walter. Now, we have heard this story, isn't it? And it seems very sweet. But you see, like if you put yourself into the shoe, like you did, Swamiji did all the work. He did all the chanting. He probably did a whole bunch of other things. And Master is saying, look how I have changed the Walter. How I have changed Walter. We also say, we know this one. If I ask any of you or you, and every time when we meet a new devotee, we say, tell Trisha, how did you come to the path? And everybody has a beautiful, beautiful story. We can just have satsang, endless satsang actually, just by asking that question and new people share. Everyone's journey is very unique, very beautiful. And yet, when we read the lessons, level 1, 2, I don't remember which level we say that, we say, when the disciple is ready, the master appears. Now, but I did all the work, isn't it? I went to Ananda Center. I paid that 999 rupees or however it is. It was my contribution. But it says, no, was it done by us or was it ordained in some way? And this is also another contemplation. I also would like you to see when we talk about decision making, hopefully, probably all of you had like time of transformation. At some point, you feel that my life took a turn for good, for let's not use the word good, bad, it confuses, but we remember, oh my goodness, and that happened. And if you will pay attention to that period, you realize that some force comes and helps us in that direction all of a sudden. I remember when I was working and was new, I was beautifully enjoying this path, and I felt this is more than just like a sideline for me. And I remember that time I felt like maybe this is what I can do with my life. I had a good job and whatnot. And that thought, the moment it came, and I gave a little energy to that thought, oh, maybe that's not a bad idea after all. I have that space. And all of a sudden, inside the heart came a big sort of a rejoicement, which I could not uh, uh, ignore. So that if this is how the heart is responding, I better follow whatever thought I was paying attention to. And again, I do not mean to say that this happened to me, some big experience. I'm certain every one of you will have one or more experiences like that. When it's like the life is taking a big right turn. If you're in a car and a sharp U or sharp line and you go a little faster, you can notice. Even if you are lost in your own thoughts, all of a sudden you come back into the car. It's like, what is trying to happen? Oh, it's a sharp right. Something like that, a transformative time, we feel very strongly inside our heart. Oh, okay, something is happening. And we become very present. That's how we remember it. That decision life is making. In Ananda, many times you might have heard, okay, so the question we ask is not, what should I take? What decision I should make? We say, what is trying to happen? What turn life is taking? And I'll tell you the mistake I did afterwards. All this happened and I started. Now, I was waiting for that kind of a resonance, like, where is the next sharp right or left turn? No, it didn't come. If you are going into some Konkan or like a hilly terrain, the road could be very twisty, winding. Every turn requires your attention. But if you're like on a highway, you rarely notice a little, unless you are very, very attentive. But I was confused. And then I wanted that turn because I felt my assumption was every time when you feel something that strongly in your heart, that's the only time when there is a guidance or it is right or wrong. So I said, and I asked questions, Ki Divine Mother, what's wrong? Where is that guidance? Are we supposed to go right or left? But I missed the point that maybe she was saying, Ki, no right, no left, just stay where you are, continue going straight. Doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't need to go right or left. So the question we ask at times, see, when we say how to make decisions in your life, maybe sometimes there's no decision required. Or the type of questions we are asking could be different. George Carver was an American, and he is known to sort of popularize peanut butter. So there was a time when this is probably time of difficult times in America, and he was suffering. He could see a lot of people around him suffering. So he asked this question very earnestly, Divine Mother or Lord, however you want, said, what is the purpose of this existence? See, like when you are in despair, this is a very valid question, isn't it? He did get an answer. He said, Divine Mother says, George, it's too difficult question for you to understand at the moment. George says, okay, then tell me what is the purpose of my existence? To which also George get answer, no, it is still too large for you at this point in time. Then finally George asked him a question, her Divine Mother or Lord, the question. He was part of a farming industry. It's like, what is the purpose of peanut? I'm sure the conversation was a little different that I'm portraying. But there, He got an answer. He's like, we can work with this. See, when we talk about decision making, I'll give you one more example from Rajarsi Janakananda. We all know he was what masters, one of the most advanced disciples. Now, we also know that he would go, you might have heard this story, that he would go in the office and then first thing he would do is like close doors and then meditate for an hour or so. And he would come back and now he was ready. Difficult questions, difficult decisions. He was a self-made millionaire. A lot of decisions he had to take on a daily basis. Every decision is making difference into the company's future, future of his employees, future of master's work, because he was sponsoring a big portion of that also. All of it depended on his decisions and he was making them on a daily basis, everything nicely. I was very inspired by that story. I says, well, if I put myself into his shoes, what will I do? I tried also many times here. I will meditate and I'll go in some meetings. I had no idea what I'm supposed to do. I said, like, how on earth did Rajesh did it? Hmm. I'm just waiting for some people to say something and I'll follow. I did meditate for an hour, sometimes deep also. Why did that guidance doesn't come? Because it doesn't. We cannot put us into anybody else's shoes. It was Rajesh's life. Rajeshri was leading a particular life. When George Carver asks about Peanut, now I cannot keep my eyes closed or any one of us and say, let me also tune into the same consciousness. No. Where life has placed us, that's where, that's where we can find and tune into the decisions. And the right for individually for all of us. What is trying to happen? What is the most important criteria or a quality which is required to actually understand this? What is trying to happen? If you ask the question, what is trying to happen? You got to wait and listen. Talking again about Rajasi, Master was, he's progressing so much spiritually. Somebody asked Master, how? Master says, that's because he knows how to listen. And this listening isn't, he was listening to Master like in his sermons. In fact, in the book Anandita mentioned yesterday, she's reading that book. She said, like, whenever he would go and meet Master, they would really speak. Rarely they will speak. He would just go, both of them will meditate, he would leave back to his office. That's what their initial communication was, because he knows how to listen. See, whenever we had made any decisions in our life, we were receptive. You see, like that right turn I was talking about, it forces us to sort of step back and see what's happening. And in that moment, we all of a sudden open ourselves and remain into that space of receptivity, in that space of listening. I'll give you more tangible example which has happened, how it works. And this is when you guys all know that the monks have a monastery now in India, in Chandigarh, Panchkula. And I remember initial time when Devarshiji had this thought that we could do something. And he had that thought that maybe it could happen in Chandigarh. And somehow that's where the search began. And Divine Mother chose like some of us. He was consciously probably tuning into where needs to happen and whatnot. And I was just sitting around. Probably Divine Mother said, this guy, you also go and help him. So I got that inclination. So many of us, like Shankara, myself, and him, and other monks also joined. And as I mentioned, it was supposed to happen in Chandigarh. I was very closely involved in that process. So I watched the process through Devarshiji as it was unfolding. Now we went to as I said, Chandigarh, which is sort of one end of the three cities which are there. And we got the place for the monks and then started looking for areas or the lands in the Chandigarh, the Punjab side of the region. You don't need to remember the geography. For 6 months, we did the search. Many reasons were there. Why? Because we had local devotees who were our anchor. They helped us then and even now, but throughout through them, we had like an access to a lot of possibilities and whatnot. 6 months went on there. We also found some properties like maybe this is it, maybe this is it. Devashiji will also feel like that, but it didn't go through. Every day there was a new up and down was coming. And finally, after 6, 7 months, all of a sudden the shift happened and we started looking to the other end of the city. And that's where finally the monastery is. Now, one would think we were all wrong in the beginning. We thought, okay, maybe the monastery should be on the other end. And why does Divine Mother do like that? No, for me it is okay. We are all after all new. Devarshiji is here. He probably has a better direct communication with Divine Mother. Why make him just do all these 6 months on the other end? If at the end we have to go there. And strangely enough, the first interaction we had, Devarshiji had contacted a lady who runs a very beautiful permaculture farm right next to the monastery. First weekend we went and saw her, and through her this land came about. So if that's what's supposed to happen, why waste such a 1 year? Why went through that entire process? But you see, pay attention to that. This is again the realm of mind. It understands. Nature has no interest in become minimalist or maximalist. Nature has no interest to just have like a straight line or a crooked line. When we talk about existence, it isn't about goals. Okay, we want to have monastery land where it needs to happen. Here, let's do it and call it done. And then the next thing. This is our mind's work, you see. Because in that 1 year, I am just giving you, we were looking for land. But is that all happening in our lives? Far more things were happening. If you ask life what all happened, the answer would be so far different. This is looking land was just one of the consequences of it, you see. And then we ended up doing that too. And that journey itself was beautiful. Every moment, though, what was important was Devashiji was not satisfied. He could have just said, this is it, this is the direction. That's the straight line approach, no? We have decided, so we stick to it. No, he was trying to tune in on a daily basis. Sometimes we will get upset, but you said something yesterday which was different from today. He says, but that's what I feel today. What can I do? I just have to honor what I feel now. We compare it. Is it coming from my own biases? Then ignore it. Is it coming from some societal biases? Ignore it. Is it coming from some kind of a compulsion because I have to finish in 2, 3 days? Finish it. But if it is not coming from any of it, you have to honor it. The decisions, the guidance come, they are not necessarily convenient all the time. But you see, we cannot just live by convenience. If you want to live in truth, we don't worry about convenience because that convenience doesn't guarantee anything. And at the end, that what has happened, and in that, when we live that truth, a beautiful possibility happens. The life of Ananda Mahima, we all talk about her, is a very beautiful example of a life lived in that kind of a guidance. Her disciples or the students who were around her, they find it very difficult to be around her. Initially, certainly. Her own husband, who became her disciple, she was in a position of, he can tell her, let's go here. Because after all, societally, he is the husband. Another disciple, Bhaiji, calls about. So they were responsible to decide her itinerary. From Banaras, they are going to Kolkata. Now, a particular line, particular route, you may think, all of a sudden she will say, no, but I feel we should go to some place like Madhya Pradesh where I have a devotee. I says, but Ma, tomorrow we are supposed to be in Kolkata. Why would you go there? Initially they resisted, but then at the end Ma says it, so they have to do it anyway. So they would reluctantly, grudgingly change the itinerary, go to that place, and they will realize why. There was a genuine call, had to be attended. The itinerary had to be modified. Spontaneous, it changes, it guides. We have to listen. Doesn't matter. See, convenience, right or wrong, this is all our mind-made assumptions. Who cares? Why do we care so much? What do people know? Good part is Swamiji started this community. We could exist like that, at least within ourselves, you see. We don't complain that you are not sticking to your words. No, I am sticking to my heart. We understand that language. And this is what the cultivation of it. I'll end with one story. You know this story, but let's look at it in a different light today. Uh, this is from the life of Sukhdev. Sukhdev was, I think, son of a very good sage, Vasishtha probably. But though his father was a great guru, he felt his guru is Raja Janak. So he goes to Raja Janak, and then there finally Raja Janak accepts him, and then both of them have a connection. And so Raja Janak tells him, ki, I am going to give you your first lesson today. Okay, so what is the lesson? Sukhdev is very austere actually, so he doesn't like this whole kingdom and whatnot. But Raja Janak is now his king, guru, so he has to follow. He says, first assignment, take this lamp. It is filled with oil, lit, and he says, take it very carefully, make sure that not a drop of oil falls down. And you go through the entire palace that I have made. Every room you have to go, and then come back. So he goes, gets assignment. No? As I said, Sukhdeva, no interest in anything else. Assignment, I'm going to completely satisfy. So very quickly, goes through it, comes back maybe in like few minutes and says, okay, sir, job done. I said, okay, are you sure? Not a drop fell down? He said, no, not a drop fell down. The lamp was burning all the time. Great. So tell me, what did you see? So Sukhdev said, I didn't see anything. All my attention was onto the lamp. I said, no, I'll modify the exercise now. And this is the exercise we want to pay attention to. He said, now go and enjoy. Watch all the details. I've created this palace. Actually, it is very beautiful. Keep your preferences aside. Just enjoy for what it is. I'm not asking you to live here. Make sure that no oil drop still falls. And now come back and tell me. Sukhdev goes, long time it takes for him to go. And he returns. He says, I am back, Guruji. Not a drop fell down, but now I can tell you everything about your palace. Beautiful it is. We have listened. Probably some of you, most of you have heard this story. What is in the context of decision making, or we say, what is trying to happen? You see, the moment we go out in the world, or even when we are not paying attention, we are surrounded by a different energy. We're surrounded by our own thoughts, our own conditioning. It is like that palace. We get lost once we appreciate anything. There is nothing. There is, the world is too demanding on our attention. But you see, like, that is the crux of it. We will do all of it. We will do everything which is asked of us. But a portion of ourselves has to remain onto that lamp. We understand when the sharp term comes, we immediately feel it. That lamp is that presence. And while we can tentatively do a lot of things, as Devarshiji was doing in that case, okay, let's go here, let's figure it out. But is it the right thing? At times, that lamp will just fluctuate a little and tells you, okay. You may feel it inside your heart, maybe a sign outside. Till then, we keep pouring energy in your own ways. In your own ways. Sometimes it is just like Rajarsi, close the door and he understands. Sometimes for some of us, it is do a lot of action. But while the action is happening, while the lot of drama is happening in the world, we have to keep checking onto that oil on that lamp from time to time. And you see, we will get a hint of it. Not? Let's continue a little more, little more. Don't go too far. Keep checking on it. Keep checking on it. With that metaphor, if we live, you see, we train ourselves. And as we started, what is the secret of doing right decisions? Make a lot of wrong decisions. That wrong doesn't actually mean, that means we are making an effort to understand the sound of life. which is happening through us, tuning into it. And we may make mistakes, but every mistake will tell us what, ah, that was again my own preference, taking the shape of Divine Mother and telling, I know, my child. In that, we become more and more alert, more and more wiser. And then, as they say, the chant masters go, not like hand in hand, we dance together. We will take turns, we will take straight lines, but all can happen while we are in that presence. So that's all I have to share today. Let's take a moment, close our eyes. That light burns in every heart. Those who are paying attention, those who are not paying attention. We choose to pay attention. We choose to remind each other to pay attention. And as we conclude, let's invite that all truth seekers, everyone who is in need, feels a touch of that presence, that they don't need to try too hard. The guidance is right here in each heart. Each life guides itself in its own beautiful way. Everything is equally beautiful. And let's share these vibrations with everyone, offering a prayer together. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all Thy children. Manifest Thy healing presence in all bodies, in all minds, and in all souls. Om. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.